It's another Raw video from your favorite YouTube scout, Draft Raw Authentic. Yes, finally making another video. And like I said, it is a Raw video, so there will be no edits. Anyway, it is Saturday, April 7th, 2018. I made a video yesterday. Please check that out. It is about the misconception of developing draft picks. It is raw. It is unedited. Please check it out. It's a pretty good video. It just talks about, the misconception about developing players. I mean, what else? Yeah. But anyway, this vid, if you can tell by the topic, this is about the draft picks. And I'm not talking about the players itself. I'm talking about the picks itself. And I'm going to be explaining the draft in general and different things and different key things that has happened in the draft itself. But how the draft works. So pretty much let's just get into it. One of the first things I want to talk about and say is that one of the biggest instrumental things that happened with the draft was draft rookie slot salaries. And that is the concept of when you're drafting a player at a certain pick, how much money that player gets is already kind of set. Now, it can be negotiable how you allocate that money into the contract and stuff like that. But it's one of the things that was very instrumental because you had a bunch of guys that would come out in the draft and they would be the first overall, second, the top 5, top 10 picks, and they would get a lot of money, more money than what some players were getting on their second contracts. They would get like 30, 40 million guaranteed, 56, and they wouldn't amount to nothing in the league. One of the biggest reasons why it happened is a guy named Jamarcus Russell who ended up stealing money from the Raiders because he ended up not working hard after he got that big contract coming out of college. And so they started doing that in the 2011 draft because of that. So Cam Newton was the first overall pick that wasn't getting like 50, 60 million guarantee. He was getting a slot value guarantee for where he was picked. And then so forth and so forth after that. Just guys that just, wherever you get picked, that's how much money you're getting. You're not getting any more because we're tired of giving big contracts to guys that are unproven. So that's one of the big things that happened, and that's what, one of the new things that happens in the draft now recently, since 2011 till now. Another thing about the draft, and which I think is a huge thing, is playoff teams. All teams that go to the playoffs, they will be picking from picks 21 to 32, depending on where you win or lose at. So if you lose in the first round, pick 21 through 24 is where you're slotted at, and that's going to be based off of your record and if you won your division. So where those picks are slotted. Then if you lose in the second round, you're going to be picking between picks 25 to 28. Yeah, 25 to 28. And same thing like the first round, by record. Then if you lose in the championship game, you're going to be picking 29 or 30. And that depends on, like I said, your record. So those two teams, whoever has the better record is going to be picking 30. Who had the worst record is going to be picking 29. And then last but not least, the Super Bowl champions going to be picking 32. And then the Super Bowl loser is going to be picking 31. Now, I forgot to do my research about this last part. I can't remember if it was always like that the two Super Bowl teams will be picking 31 to 32. I believe it's always been like that. But the one thing that happened was back in the 2008 season, the San Diego Chargers went 8-8. Then all of a sudden, they were picking like 16th overall in the draft. And it was unfair because it's like you go 8-8, you go to the playoffs, but you picked 16th overall. That's not fair, because then you had teams that were 10-6 that didn't make the playoffs, and they was picking in the 20s. One of those teams was the New England Patriots that year, and they was picking in the 20s, and that's unfair. You can even look at a team like the Baltimore Ravens that went to the AFC Championship, and normally they would have been picking 29th or 30th, but they ended up having the 26th slot. That year, though, they traded up to the 23rd spot. So if anybody want to try to check me on that, no, they traded up to the 23rd spot, which is still even worse if, they went to the AFC Championship. But I think then in the 2010 season, or draft, the 2010 draft, they ended up changing that and making it more fair, where even if you're 8-8 or 7-9 or whatever, you win your division and you're going into playoffs, you're picking in the 20s. You're not picking 16, 17, because it's not fair. It doesn't make sense. I can understand by record, but it doesn't make sense. It's not fair. One of the other things in the draft that people seem to not really know and seem to be confused about is basically teams that of the same record, and when they're looking at the draft, and let's say the Browns and the Jaguars were picking 1 and 2 in the first round, and let's say both of them had a 2-14 record. Well, what happens is people are confused, because then in the second round, all of a sudden the Jaguars are picking first and the Browns are picking second, and they're scratching their head like, huh? Or, you got teams from 3 to 5, or, whatever, and they all have 4-12 records, and the team that was picking third in the first round is now picking fifth in the second round, and they're scratching their head like, hold on, I thought we were supposed to have the third pick. And those are people that doesn't really pay attention to the draft or don't understand the draft. Also people that just, they don't understand it, and they play the video game like Madden. And in those video games, they don't switch up those draft picks. So if you're picking third in the first, you're picking third in the second, third, fourth, you're just picking third all overall. But people don't understand that if you of the same record, the picks ended up rotating. So it's not like an unfair type of advantage. Now this year, you see an 0-16 team, they're going to be picking first in each round, or if they didn't trade the picks away, they're picking first in each round. Like the Cleveland Browns are 0-16. There's no other team that was 0-16, so they're always going to be picking first. But one of the things that people are a little confused about, and I'm going to go back to the Baltimore Ravens because I am a Ravens fan, is that you have a team that is picking 16th overall in the first round, but in the second round, they're picking 20th. They're the 20th pick in the second round. And they're like, hold up, what the heck? And it's because they're 9-7, and there are 5 other teams that went 9-7. And so they have to rotate the picks, because even though technically we were the worst 9-7 team, they rotate the picks because we did all have the same record, and it will be unfair for the one team. Like, we had the same record as a team that's picking 16th overall. Why are we still picking 20th? So that's the other thing about the NFL draft and with the picks and how that works out, where teams are the same records, 3, 4, 5 teams that have the same record, they rotate the picks each round. So the Ravens are picking 16th in the first round. The next time they're picking 16th in a round is the 6th round. And I know it seems a little bit unfair, because it's like, dang, why we have to go that far down? But that's the way it works. So other teams, it seems unfair, but it's fair in a way of that if you have the same record, yeah, you're going to be picking like that. But anyway, that is the last thing that I wanted to say about the draft and how the draft works. If you have more questions, if you're not sure, you're still not sure about having the draft, I may make another video. But anyway, if you have more questions, please comment so we can debate about it, or I can give you an answer. Please share this video so other people can see it, and other people, if they have questions, they can join the debate, and we can build this draft community. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and I thank you for watching. Once again, this is Draft Raw Authentic. Goodbye.